Hi, I'm gonna take a look at the Breeders' Cup in horse racing. So this is like baseball. You have your World Series, hockey, the Stanley Cup, football, the Super Bowl, soccer. You have the World Cup. So the Breeders' Cup is where horses, horsemen and women, horse people from around the world, they assemble at a racetrack in a particular location in the United States of America. So I'm talking about the creme de la creme. So I'm gonna look at a Pollock report. Usually for the Breeders' Cup races, we have horses that these horses go through scrutiny. Like for normal race days, you have, depending on if a horse had an injury or not, where a horse is checked by the track veterinarian pre-entry before it is entered, but these horses still must go through a vet check on the race day. But for Breeders' Cup, as far as I'm made to understand, and from what I read and from videos that I see, these horses go through vet checks for weeks. You know, they are they're scrutinized. These vet checks are meticulous. So according to the product Pollock report, right? And you can Google Pollock report. That's how I should pronounce it, Pollock report. On whether Google is your browser or whatever browser you use, I should say you should look up Pollock report. And the Breeders' Cup were run on Friday, October 31st, where they had some undercard races, and then the 2-year-olds ran on Friday, October 31st, where you call them the Future Stars. And then on Saturday, November 1st, you had some undercard races, and then you had your Breeders' Cup races. So leading up to Breeders' Cup, as these horses are scrutinized, their vet check, you normally have a number of scratches. For some reason or other, the vets scratch them before they can run on the actual day. But the scratch this year that is garnering a lot of attention is the scratch of white Abarrio. Minutes before the race, he was in post parade, and he was entered in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. So the Pollard report is talking about the regulatory veterinarian, right? Regulatory veterinarians, they were concerned that White Abarrio appeared lame on his left leg, on his left front leg, right? And this is in the post parade leading up to the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, right? One of the veterinarians, one of the veterinarians was concerned that White Abarrio was lame on his left leg, was lame on his left foreleg, fore and front leg, the same thing. And this is according to Nick Luck, reported for the NBC, right? Reported for NBC. He then phoned, according to this report, track veterinarian Brent Cassidy. And Brent Cassidy recommended to the stewards, right, that the horse be scratched. So looking further down in the report, it says it was ultimately the steward's decision that white Abarrio should be taken out of the race. You know, a little further down, it says it would be fair to say that the owners and trainers do not agree with that, that the owner and trainer do not agree with that decision, but that is the decision that was made. You know, and this is hard when you bring a horse that far. You get the stuff that goes into training and the team getting a horse to a race such as that. And I don't agree. I beg to differ with some of the comments I read, in that they lump all owners and all trainers as the same, in that it is greed and you know, people, they're just about the money, and I don't agree with that. You know, in all professions you can have some dishonest people, but there are owners. We have owners and trainers out there that will make sure that their horse is in the best of health. That they're in the best of health, not only physically, but also mentally. The horse must be in good shape going to post. Right? But these horses are scrutinized weeks out. This horse had, if I can skip to an article I read in Horse Racing Nation, and you should Google, or let me say, according to the browser that you use, look up Horse Racing Nation. And that article, I saw that article, what is today, November 5th? And this statement came out on Tuesday. And Breeders' Cup, or headline, Breeders' Cup, white Abarrio owners seek inquiry into scratch. Breeders' Cup, white Abarrio owners seek inquiry into scratch. And looking up the owners are C2 Racing Stable and Gary Barber. And from reading this article, it says that C2 Racing Stable LLC and Gary Barber have retained counsel. You know, some people, you know, look at some comments on this article, and some people that believe that they should move on. But how can you move on? You want some clarity in that this horse had a PET scan or PET scan at the request of Breeders' Cup. You know, I'm thinking, I'm led to believe that this horse would have checked all boxes, and then it also passed a veterinary check on the morning of the race. So what could have happened between passing that veterinary check and post parade? Was this horse cast? Did he get cast in the stall? Did he fall? This horse, did he fall? Maybe in the stall or somewhere outside of the stall. So I'm trying to piece together or put together, or I'm coming up with some scenarios what could have happened between that veterinary check on the morning of the race and post parade. You know, and you're saying the horse looked lame on the left foreleg, but some people are calling for more clarity, and I agree with the owners in seeking or to seek an inquiry into the scratch. I know that veterinarians looked out for the health of the horse, right? And when a horse goes out there, when a horse going to a restaurant, you don't want to see a catastrophic breakdown. You don't want to see horses injured. It could also be a danger to the human athlete also, and these is things you don't want to see. But my thing is that what I'm looking at is this: could this be some kind of gait abnormality? Where some kind of gait abnormality, or some type of what do you call it, bridle lameness, where when you have you put a rider on the horse, and you tend to see it, you tend to see that gait abnormality, and you take the rider off the horse, and then you don't see it. So this is just some things I'm thinking about, some scenarios, some things I came up with, and I agree with the owners. It is right, to seek some clarity, to seek an inquiry into the scratch. People talking about winning, and you're not gonna win them, and this thing. The thing I'm looking at is people looking at winning and losing. From what I gather from the article, the owners want an inquiry, because this inquiry to me would bring about some clarity in why the horse was taken out after going through, why the horse was a late scratch at the gate, instead of just saying he looked lame on his left front leg. This would give a more detail. What's the word I'm looking for? This would give a more detail, give some more detail as to why he was taken out. It would give you what they were or were not seeing, or this is what I'm assuming that they would do. It would give you what they were seeing or not seeing those weeks leading up to the morning of the race, the morning where he had his final vet check, and also this would include things from the PET scan or PET scan, how you choose to pronounce it. So I'm going to keep my eyes open. I'm going to keep my ears open as to any further announcements, articles, whatever, concerning the scratch of white Abarrio. As I said, there were some other scratches at the Breeders' Cup, but this is a scratch that should I say, has caused some controversy or controversy, how you choose to pronounce that word. And I'm going to keep looking out for anything that comes out on white Abarrio. So thank you for watching my channel, and enjoy.